Hey, welcome to Fathering Our Future, the podcast for dads. I'm Anthony Vandagriff, and I'm not the perfect dad. But every day, I am trying to be better. Typically, I try to be a little chipper on the podcast, a little more on the encouraging and motivating side. I'll get to that point, but today's going to be a little more to the point, very direct, maybe a little bit harsh at times, because I want to talk to all the men, all the dads out there who feel like you might need some help. If you think, even just a little bit, that you need help, that you have some problems that you can't work out on your own, do not wait to get help. Do not wait to get help. The story behind this episode today, my wife shared with me. There was a man in Minnesota, 31 years old. That's how old I am, 31 years old. He and his wife had recently divorced. They had been divorced for just about 1 year, and they were having a conversation. In Minnesota, while she had the physical rights to the kids, they still share the burden of life decisions that can influence the way these children believe and choose to grow up, such as going to church. They were having a conversation in a disagreement about whether or not she could take the kids to church. And this conversation that turned into a disagreement eventually led to this man beating his ex-wife to death in front of 3 of their 5 children. This man got to the edge, to the tipping point, and then just took a giant leap from there. He got to a place where he absolutely lost his mind, his identity. He lost himself, and he beat his ex-wife to death. And then to add on top of that, 3 of his children watched him do it. The article is kind of tough to read. So the 3 that witnessed their dad kill their mother were 9, 8, and 2. And the 9-year-old and the 8-year-old give some accounts of what happened, how they ran out of the house when they saw their father strike their mother in the back of the head with some sort of an object. And they ran outside to find someone, to call 911, to get some help. The 8-year-old was quoted saying that he tapped his mother's foot as she lay there on the ground with a pool of blood around her head, and she was unresponsive. This little boy tapped his mom's foot after witnessing her being beat to death by his dad, probably in hopes that she was still okay, probably not fully comprehending what he just saw. So this man absolutely lost it. This is not a win for men. This is not a win for dads. And the reality is, this man went way over the edge, and he did a number to his kids. They will never be the same. They will probably never get to live a quote-unquote normal life because they watched their father, someone that they should be able to trust with the most intimate details of their life. They watched their father with his own hands beat their mother to death. I can't even imagine the mental anguish and struggle that puts a 9-year-old and an 8-year-old and even the 2-year-old, what that puts them through. I will definitely be praying for this family, for all those involved, because this is traumatic. And I think the only way you continue through something like that is with the help of God. So definitely going to pray for the kids and for those who lost a daughter and a sister and a friend because of this. But this led me to talk to you today, men and dads. I want to talk to you because if you need help, you do not wait to get it. You go and you get help today. If you already realize I need help, then turn this off and contact someone that you can talk to. There are resources out there. There are people that you can get in contact with that you can get the help that you need. Whether you need a therapist or a counselor, maybe you can find a local minister, a pastor at a church nearby or at a church you attend. Maybe you have a mother or a father that you have that sort of relationship with, or a sibling, or someone else in your family, a close relative. Maybe you've got a good friend that you can talk to. If you have no one and you feel like there's nothing that's going to help you through this, you can send an email to fatheringourfuture@gmail.com and I will do my best to help you. This is how we get through it. We do it through community. That is how we overcome. And the sad thing about this guy in Minnesota is, yes, he jumped way over the edge by beating his wife to death, his ex-wife to death, in front of his 3 kids. But there were problems before that. He knew that he had some struggles leading into that. He obviously had struggles at least a year before that because he and his wife got a divorce. There were some issues already going on. The article even reported that he had struggled to keep a job. His last 2 jobs, he was there for only 3 months before he got fired. He's dealing with some problems, and he's just trying to power through everything. And powering through everything and never addressing the real issues, it can lead you to the edge, and when you get there, you're going to take that step that you do not want to take. You're going to take that step that you can never take back. I want you to avoid the edge, but you're only going to do that by dropping the mask. I think a lot of men, myself included, at a point in life, we have this idea of what masculinity is, of what it means to be a man, and we think that it's being macho, that it's being tough and strong, that we lift heavy things and we do physical feats and we look rugged and we've got a deep voice. That's what we envision masculinity as. And yes, some of that is a part of it. But those are not the important elements of masculinity. Masculinity is not just tied to the physical. It's not exclusively tied to the gender, to the biological distinctions of a man. And I do think, especially in the day and age in which we live, that being a man is critically important. I cannot believe that we actually live in a time where people have to ask the question, what is a man and what is a woman? But because of that, we, you and I, men and dads, we need to make sure that we are displaying masculinity the correct way, especially for the benefit and for the sake of our kids, because we are their masculine role model. They will see what a man ought to do and ought to be like by watching you, by watching me. We are the image of masculinity to our kids. So are they just going to see you as a dumb, tough guy? Are they really going to see what it means to be a man? Masculinity, it consumes the characteristics and the qualities of being a man, existing as a man. That means that day to day, everything that you go through, that you are being, you're existing as a man, that through all the different seasons of life, you are being and you are existing as a man. The feats and the trials and the struggles that you face will not exclusively be physical. You don't just get to lift something heavy and then you're on to the next obstacle. That's not what life is. It's not just being tough. It's not just looking tough. If you think that you can get through everything by yourself, you're wearing a mask, and everyone knows it, because it cannot be done. You cannot navigate life by yourself. You were not endowed with all knowledge on how to navigate life all by yourself from the moment you were born. You have to learn. And you can learn through your personal experiences. But you're not even going to know how to learn unless you get some insight and some wisdom from an outside source. Unless you read a book, which is like having a conversation with the author. Unless you listen to the podcast, which again is like having a conversation with the host. Unless you have a friend that you actually have some deep conversations with, or your spouse, or a pastor, a minister, a mentor in your life, a counselor. There are people that you need in your life to help you get to a place where you can learn. Because your feats in this life are not all physical. You're going to have some struggles in life that will be mental. You're going to have some trials that are emotional. And we don't like that side. Maybe we can deal with the mental, because some of us like to pride ourselves on the fact that we feel like we're smart and intelligent. But you can have a mental breakdown. You can get to a place where you're thinking about way too much and you just stop, or you way overthink. You need to have a conversation with someone if you're at that point. If you have emotional trauma and all you think you have to do is take all those emotions and put them in some box and leave them behind you, the problem with that is at some point in your life, that box is not going to be big enough to hold everything. And everything is going to bust out, and you're going to be standing there having to deal with all of these emotions that you have just put behind you. Being masculine is not looking at the trials and the struggles and just saying, I'm going to keep walking past it. I'm not even going to deal with it. I'm just going to keep moving on. Being masculine, being a man on a day-to-day basis through every season requires that you confront your trauma and your struggle. You have to deal with it. And you are not going to be able to deal with it by yourself. I want you to avoid that edge, that tipping point. But you will only do this if you will drop the mask. Drop the act. You're not fooling anyone except for yourself. It is not masculine to have emotional trauma or mental struggle and to say, oh, I don't have to deal with it. That's not masculine. That's stupid. It's not masculine to have a conversation and for things to get out of your control and then for you to go Hulk. That's not masculine. That's you turning into a monster. That's you acting like a child. That's what children do. Children throw a fit and hit and fall on the ground and scream. They turn into these little chaotic beings when things don't go their way. You know this. If you've ever had a little toddler grab a pair of scissors or something sharp in your house, and you run and you grab it and you say, no, you can't have these, there's a good chance that you got a reaction of tears and screaming. Maybe some violence. Maybe they try and hit. All kids are different. Of my 3, I've got a combination of everything. It happens. So losing your mind and acting out when things are out of your control, that's not being a man. That's reverting to acting like a child. And I know that's harsh. And I know when you're going through things, it's difficult to hear direct statements that come across a little bit harsh. But from man to man, If you're listening to this all by yourself, no one else is there to figure you out. No one else is around to see or to hear whatever it is that you're going through. So don't get upset. Just listen. You have to be a man. You have to be a man when there are physical issues. You have to be a man when there is mental anguish. You have to be a man when there is emotional trauma. You have to be a man regardless of what comes your way. That is how you will display masculinity to your kids. By being a man regardless of what comes your way. Men do not run from problems. We confront them. And I know while the physical ones may seem to be the most impressive, the most difficult feats for us as men are those that are mental and those that are emotional. Do not be afraid to confront those things. And do not be foolish when you confront those things. You cannot do it alone. This is why part of my mission for Fathering Our Future is to build a community. To build a community of dads where together we can better father our future. Again, you don't know everything, and you never will. But if you group yourselves with people who have gone through other experiences or have even gone through the same experiences, they've done things a little different. They learned some lessons that maybe you didn't. They tried some ways that maybe you didn't experiment with. You will learn from other dads. So if you are at a place where you think, I don't know what to do with this. This is bothering me. This is a problem. Maybe I should just stop thinking about it. If you're at a place where life looks a little bit like that, your thoughts are going a little bit in that fashion, stop what you're doing and reach out to someone immediately. You can reach out to me again, fatheringourfuture@gmail.com. I will get it. And I will reach out to you. But you probably have other people in your life that you can talk to. If not, I'm not a licensed counselor, but you can find one. And they make it really easy today to do that. There are apps that you can get. There are websites that you can go to. You can find someone to talk to. Or you have a good friend. Or you have a wife. Your spouse is supposed to be someone that you can talk to. Don't be afraid and neglect that line of communication that you have there. You have someone that you can talk to, family member, relatives, mother, father, siblings, pastor, some sort of a mentor, someone in your life. Find that person, reach out to them, and don't be scared to open up. Because if you do not deal with this baggage, if you do not deal with these trials, who's to say you don't end up like this 31-year-old guy in Minnesota who beat his wife, his ex-wife, to death in front of 3 of his kids? This man clearly had some issues that he needed to fix. And he either never tried to get help or never received the help that was coming his way. Don't be foolish. Be masculine. Accept the help. Accept the group and the team and the community. Embrace that and then live within it. You're not going to be the best at everything. You're not always going to win. You're not going to succeed at every venture. It's not going to happen that way. Failure is a part of the process. It's a part of the journey. And sometimes we don't know how to deal with that. But there are people out there who do. And there are friends out there who might not know how to deal with it, but they might just say what you need to hear to help you through it. So if you even think that you need help, even just a little bit, don't sit on it. Don't wait. Get the help that you need today. Drop the mask. You're not fooling anyone. Stay far from the edge. because you don't want to tip. You don't want to do what this guy did. That's not the image that the world needs to see of a man, of a father. We need to stay very clear of that. So if you think you need help, don't wait. Get help today. This is Fathering Our Future, the podcast for dads. I'm Anthony Vandagriff. Thank you for being with me, and I hope you will join me next time. Hey, thanks for watching today's episode. I hope it has blessed you and challenged you to strive to be a better dad every day. And if you'd like more great content like this, just subscribe to the channel. Also, if you think dads are valuable and essential to the family, consider supporting this effort. Just go to fatheringourfuture.com and click support. Every contribution helps, and it's greatly appreciated. Thank you for being a part of Fathering Our Future.